BC, it's March. Here we go. Time just marches, marches, marches. And I received some BCLTA I want to share with you, and I'll continue talking about records. It's an evening. I'm having an evening cup of coffee. See if I can get focused and share with you some information. Oh, I just need to, a couple things before I forget. I appreciate input. I mainly read comments on YouTube. I generally avoid the personal messages. And then there's another place where people leave messages that I don't read. I want to explain why. The comments is where to contact me or to tell me something, because the other two parts, the personal messages and the other part where people can leave messages, it became overwhelming, the number of requests to listen to people's music and stuff. And it's not that it just became overwhelming. And so if you want me to see what you have to say, leave it in the comments below the video, okay? Please. I've had an upswing in record sales, which I appreciate. I think part of it is due to telling you, because I think some people just, again, come across my channel for the first time and don't know. And so I'm going to show some records, and then please stick around so I can remind you of what I have available for sale. There's the idea of, doing a subscription service. My friend Randy Lemasters has pointed me to a service page where you can ask for people to become patrons, and I kind of need to do those things, and yet at the same time I wish I could just do it informally. Like, for example, Bandcamp just started to do it. I don't want to do it through them because they take 20%. But what would be ideal is to be able to sell my music, and just, of course, that's ideal. Anyway, a VC member, Britt Varn, I don't know if he makes videos anymore. I think he did it one time. We've never met, but again, there's a lot of interaction on Facebook. The other thing I wanted to say is that not all of the vinyl community groups on Facebook are closed. There are some open groups. A few of them are secret or closed, but I'll have to make a list. But there are a few groups, and one of the groups that, if you want to join, it's primarily about CDs, because we have several vinyl groups, but I have a page called CD Showcase, and that's my page. And if you request to join that group and I see that you're real, I'll add you. But Britt Varn is someone in the BC who has exquisite taste, has a great collection, and he told me he wanted to send me something, and asked in particular about a record that I used to have, and it's really kind of mystifying why I would have ever sold it. He sent me a pristine copy of Cluster and Eno on Sky Records, 1977, I believe, is when this came out. And there's a few clicks on this, but it's just in great, great shape. And also, I used to own it. I bought it when it first came out, and once I played it today, it was like, I really did go through a period where I wasn't thinking right mentally, wasn't feeling right, and was selling records and feeling like I had the devil on my back or something, and looking back on it, it just really was just a very strange time. I sold a lot of records that I wish I hadn't, and this was one of them. So thank you, Britt, for giving me a new copy. Cluster and Eno. I don't think either artist needs an introduction. Okay. He also sent me this, which I wasn't expecting, and really appreciate. This is some very good jazz by Denny Zeitlin with George Marsh and Rattleby Harris, ZG. Also on a nice small label, 1750 Arch Records. I love stuff like this. This is a great date. Zeitlin is a keyboardist, a synthesizer player who's done a lot of session work, played with a lot of folks. Can't name anyone right off the top of my head, but this was a nice surprise. And it's in great shape, too. Look at that. It's like brand new. Britt Varn, you honor me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to put this one in the background and turn it down. I think this is some jazz from Russia, so maybe it'll get by this. You know, just these last few weeks, I really have been hunkered down a lot here at home. Besides working on music, I've just really been staying in because of the extreme cold. And as a result, I've been playing a lot more music and digging into my records. And it's been fun. So I've got another pile here. And please, like I said, stay with me. I want to talk about what I have for sale. I have a couple special offers, or a couple things that are, I only have one of each left, and you may be interested, you may be not, but I'm going to tell you about it at the end. Okay, so what I'm playing right now is Arsenal. This is a group out of Russia, and this is mid-80s, I think 1980s. This was recorded in 1982 and came out on vinyl in 85 with our own hands. I'm not going to turn it up. I wish I could, but it's a fusion type of sound where, and they dedicate one of the songs to Mahavishnu, and you can hear that in the music, but it has its own flavor, and it's led by this saxophonist. Let me see if I can get his name for you right quick. A. Kozlov. Oh boy. Alexei Kozlov. With our own hands, Arsenal. It's a good one. Played this earlier tonight from 1968, Ars Nova. American band that on Elektra Records, the label that brought us The Doors and Love and some other cool stuff. In my opinion, the label was on the money signing this band. The lead singer, Wyatt Day, in the middle. His voice, it's a great voice. It sounds like, I'm not exactly sure why it didn't happen, but the voice sounds like it should have been a major, I can just imagine hearing it all over the radio. I think they had some singles, but it didn't happen nationally. But this is a very good. It's rock, but not rock and roll. You can imagine that these guys met in music school and put the band together. You know, this is really good. Ars Nova. Okay, let's. Okay. Now this I grabbed to play. I just started to play it and then I got distracted, so I'm going to come back to it. Neil Ardley, Harmony of the Spheres. This is something that I got through VCLT. I forget who gave it to me. But imaginative, atmospheric, could even call it somewhere between prog and new age. Some great musicians are on this album. It's recorded in 1978, but he's got John Martin, Trevor Tompkins on percussion, Richard Burgess on drums, Ian Carr on trumpet, Pepe Lemaire and Norma Winstone on voices. Neil Ardley, Harmony of the Spheres. You know, a little spacier than Mike Oldfield. So if you kind of like Mike Oldfield, I think I like this. I'd say this is a step beyond, but that's a touch point. Okay. A German rock band. I'll tell you, I've just been digging them into my German part of my collection, which is actually quite a bit. Altona, Chicken Farm, 1975. This is one I'm glad that I hung on to because I remember now. It was like the first side. I never liked the first side too much, but the B side is when the band starts to stretch out, and you hear why they're called prog rock. It's a horn-based rock band. You do a lot of typical, to me they are kind of like typical love songs or songs about life, but the arrangements are good. They have two horn players. The writing is good. And side B is where they stretch out, and it's kind of hard to think who to compare them to, but this is some good horn-based progressive rock from Germany, 1975, Altona, Chicken Farm. There was some talk about, Pink Floyd bootlegs on live. David McCarthy, who makes videos, if you watch this, hey David, he had seen some in the shop, but they were overpriced, and it reminded me of the one that I have, Floyds of London. This is from a live recording taped by the BBC. It's quite good, actually. Their version of Echoes on here is really good. This bootleg has come out in several different versions. One is a double album with another concert. Floyds of London, though. It's a good one. On the Amazing Cornyphone label. Had recently played some Blaine Reininger of Tuxedo Moon, and I have several of his solo albums because, again, there was a time when you could get them for nothing, and they are generally kind of, they're not very, it's like you listen to them and you don't really remember them. They're okay. Except that Made to Measure one that I had played for, or talked to you about, that he made with Mikhail. Anyway, I'd shown it recently. I pulled this one with the idea that maybe I was going to trade one of them, but actually I ended up, this is one I really like. Expatriate Journals. There's a live version of a Tuxedo Moon song in here called What Use, and it's a good version. It's one of Tuxedo Moon's best-known songs, What Use. And he wrote it. And it's a good version on here, so this is a keeper. It's not the only thing. It turned out that, wow, this is pretty good, actually. Kind of angular, jaggedy kind of post-rock. The violin, he plays violin, and he uses that, I think, effectively for the most part. I would say that Blaine made a lot of records, but maybe was making too many records in one small period of time where some of those ideas could have baked longer. I don't know, just a thought. String-driven thing, English band. The violinist in this band went on from this band to join a later version of Van der Graaf Generator. I think this is their first album. Love this cover. It's one of those weird... It's cool. And this is... the band had no drummer. And it's folk, but it's rock. It's got a punky edge to it, actually. Before the idea of punk. This is 1972. But it's kind of got a raspiness to some of the songs. I love that cover. It's very dreamlike. And it also makes me think of, because of that guy, makes me think of Magical Mystery Tour, the film by the Beatles. John Lennon with the big plate of spaghetti and the lady. This is a neat album. On my favorite label, Charisma. I just like the Mad Hatter. I don't know. I just like it. Steve Tibbetts. YR, Year, his first solo album. And this is, he self-released it. The very first edition of it is very handmade, and this is the second edition. That, for a time, I thought that was his actual autograph, because when you look at it on the back, it's not printed like the rest, but I've seen another copy where the signature looks almost identical, so I don't know But this is a wonderful album. Guitarist from Minnesota. And he ended up on ECM Records, and that should tell you the music is evocative, imaginative, spatial, spiritual, and stoned all at the same time. And this is his artwork as well. Steve Tibbetts. Any of his albums that you find, and you can find his albums on ECM. ECM Records, it's like they must have had a good deal with Warner Brothers or something where they were making lots of copies of the records because you can still find the records low priced. Now here's one that you don't find low priced. If you do, you've really found something. Going back again to the Canterbury School because it's one of my favorite touch points. The Polite Force by Egg. This is their second album. And this is in a US copy on Dereck. Dave Stewart on keys. The mixture of classic rock. Like this starts off with a heavy riff. Like it could have been played on a distorted guitar, but it's being played on an organ. You know, it's like the guys are letting us know, hey, we know how to rock. We are a rock band, but we have a brain. This is just a fantastic album. I think this came out about 1970. One of the few bands I have from Mexico, Los Dug Dugs. Smog. This album is monster. For some reason, I think it's because Fred, Big Star 1000, always comes to mind when I play this. It was actually, I knew about the band, but it was after watching Big Star 1000 review it when he got this that I said, yeah, I gotta get a copy of this. And this is monster psychedelic rock. You gotta hear the drummer on this. It's like, how can he just keep going with those double basses like he does? And the songs. The cover is, these guys look heavy. And it is. I wish I had more Mexican rock. More Mexican music, period, you know, actually. Psychedelic, you know. I like the wild stuff. I actually do have some stuff I inherited from my dad. He used to play in, I think what you call a Tejano band. So I've got some old Falcon 45s, Hispanic. I don't know what they're about. Plot 2. There was hype about this being the Beatles in secret. It isn't, but it's that good in a pop melodic sense. My favorite song on here is Little Neutrino, which is almost spooky, but it's like to me it's a prog rock epic. I love it. Clot 2, named after that The Day the Earth Stood Still, that sci-fi movie from the 50s that I still remember that movie from a child, you know, my childhood. Freaked me out. This is an album I bought when I cleaned out a section, a new age section a few years ago at a shop locally that I didn't even know about. And so in a way I was taking it for granted. I played it last night and this is just beautiful. Paul Griever, Joy. Acoustic guitar. Definitely spiritual. There's Eastern references in the titles, but it's not overtly Eastern sounding, which is what I like about this. And so as a result, it's got a melodic flair that I love. Fresh. Joy by Paul Griever. This is beautiful. Like the cover. I think the cover is beautiful. This was a pleasant surprise. Pulled this and played this last night. Rudy Column. So I was talking to Roger about it. Vinnie Riley. Great album. Great album. I can relate to Vinnie. As great of a musician as he is, he has an illness that he's suffered with, so he can't work. And even though he's a great musician, he, like many of us, has had problems with money. So much to the point that in recent years, family members had to get online through Facebook and stuff to raise money just so he could pay his bills. month to month. I understand. Brilliant music. The Dereck column. Brilliant. New Wave is what I call this. October. French band from mid-80s. 1982, actually. Now, I remember buying this when it first came out. Somehow, I either read... I didn't know that they actually opened for David Bowie on his Serious Moonlight tour. I just found that out recently. It fits. It's kind of like these guys almost sound like Duran Duran, who I like. This is really good. Next Year in Asia. Frou Frou Rock? I don't know what you call it. It's really good. October. Here's another one of my records. I played Dub Baptism again. So John Karajanis, if you happen to see this video, I played this again. This is great. You know, I like this. You know, I don't endeavor to try to make this kind of music, but it's really hypnotic, and it is. It does kind of intrigue me how you get into the headspace to make this stuff, because I actually don't know how you approach making this, that dubby kind of music. I would, to be honest, I would take lessons. Somebody give me lessons on how you do it, how you approach it. This is out, but I haven't played it. I'm going to. It's an old noise album of mine that is collectible now. Oh no. Machines That Kill People. It's on the Thermidor label, which is out of San Francisco. You don't see it too much. I was looking this up, and I need to play this. Got into some Sun Ra. Roger Coleman was being an influence. And so I played The Nubians of Plutonia. And while listening to this album, I really noticed on the rhythmic section of The Golden Lady and Plutonian Nights in particular, I could really hear where the residents were probably influenced by Sun Ra in their rhythmic approach on some of their early albums. This clip-cloppity sort of thing. It's like, oh, they were listening to Sun Ra. Brilliant stuff, brilliant stuff. Sun Ra. You know, he made just a ton of records. Ton. And then I was getting into my compilations. I have a section of compilation albums. I like comps. Where the labels would put out samplers of their artists to try to get you to buy the records. Here's one. Global Underground Communication. And this is really a neat one. I remember finding this in Portland. I still remember finding this because it was like it's got a song off of Genesis' first album, From Genesis to Revelation, which caught my attention. But it also has East of Eden on it. Touch. The band The End, that was produced by Bill Wyman of Rolling Stones. That album I don't have is very collectible and very good. So I have one song off of it on vinyl. This is really a really good compilation. Another great comp is Cosmic Kraut Hits. And they were calling this stuff Krauts back in the 70s, you know. It really wasn't proper, I mean, but it was being used as a marketing tool. But look at the bands. This is awesome. Can, Amandul, Embryo, Popol Vuh, 18 Karat Gold. Just the stuff. It's a double album. And the song selection here is excellent. I was really happy to find this. Love this music. Another fantastic compilation is Virgin Records. And this one is back from the Halcyon days when they were doing a lot of progressive stuff. Captain Beefheart, Hatfield in the North, Robert Wyatt. And there's some cuts on here that are exclusive to this, you know, where the mixes are slightly different. Really enjoyed this. Now here's an album I pulled thinking I'm about ready to get rid of this. No. The Pale Fountains, Pacific Street. The band went on to become Shack. You know, there's a raggedness to this music because you can tell that they were in over their heads musically, you know, writing and music beyond their skill, you know, as musicians, but great songs. Pacific Street, The Pale Fountains, this is really good. About 1983, I think. 1983, 84. Yeah, I bet I can sell this now. No, this is good. It's a keeper. Same with this one. I was thinking for a second maybe I was ready to get rid of this. No, this is really good. Person Pitch, Panda Bear from Animal Collective. What is this, 2007 on the Paw Tracks label? I hear a whole lot of Beach Boys in Animal Collective, and this guy in particular from the band. Just a whole lot of Beach Boys influence. This is really, really good. Psychedelic in a bubblegum kind of way. I gotta play this again. I pulled it, started to play it, then I got busy. But Mean Machine by Jalaluddin Mansur Nuruddin and DST. And this involves a well-known hip-hop break. I gotta play it again through. Bernie Worrell of Funkadelic Parliament is on here. Mean Machine, though. This is good. Hip-hop. I'm really enjoying this arsenal in the background here. Cama de Gato from Brazil. Guerra Fria. So I do have music from different parts of the world. You know, I wish I had more music from places like Malaysia and the Middle East and just places that I don't get to hear often. I'd love to have music from those places. But Brazil, I love Brazilian music. This is instrumental, jazz. You could maybe even call it, I don't know if you call it jazz light, but this is really good. Cama de Gato with Guerra Fria. 80s, from the 80s. Now, we can talk about me for a second here because records, as time goes on, records value changes. When I was in the band Digital Sex in the 80s and working with the singer Steve Sheehan, I had a 4-track cassette, not the one I have now, my original one, which got ripped off. My house was broken into and it was stolen. But I was recording all the time. I've got hours of tape still, you know. But he would come over and he would have me put his ideas to music because he couldn't play anything. But one time I remember he came over and I had this track where I had a rhythm section, but I didn't have a melody. And he came up with this little tweety thing on the Casio tone and ended up submitting it to a compilation, a label that was putting out a comp, and they accepted it. But the deal was, the agreement was that we were going to be double billed, Sheehan and Higgins. But I got cut out. Shaikomania is the album. This is collectible now. I looked it up on Discogs and I was surprised at the price this is going for now. It is rare, and they're all the covers are hand silkscreen. No big names on here, but where it says Steve Sheehan, I put my name and Dereck Higgins. I was supposed to be on there. I was not credited on the record. You only see Steve Sheehan. So, on Discogs, the track is miscredited to the Steve Sheehan percussionist. That is not this Steve Sheehan. And it's not a big deal to me, but it's something I want to get fixed on Discogs and have this added to my discography because this is actually part of my discography. The track that we do on here, I play all the instruments, the drums, the bass, the main keyboards, and then the little tweet melody is the only thing that Steve played. Psychomania is what it's supposed to be. On the Etiquette label out of France. This is look it up. Lindisfarne, folk rock from England, Fog on the Tyne. I just get in the mood, and the way this music works for me, you know, being, you know, from the Midwest and African American, is that it's a wonderful, it's like going someplace in the head. It's like taking a trip without getting on the boat or the plane with some music. And this is one of my pink scroll charismas I got to show. I love that. And because of the Beatles, my fascination with the Beatles and the way they play into my childhood, I had this kind of, you know, slightly unreal, magical way of seeing England. And Lindisfarne is a band whose music reflects kind of that magic folksiness about England that I like in my head. Okay, just about. Okay. National Health. Once again, we were looking at Egg earlier, Dave Stewart. National Health is a band that he went on to start after Egg, after Hatfield in the North. In the same vein, very composery, complex, but tuneful, and excellent music of Cues and Cures, National Health. Flippin' fantastic music. Okay, so we're down to stuff that I've shown. Okay, so, well, no, actually there's more. Okay, let me keep going. Heldon, French band, inspired by King Crimson. And this is, I think, their best. Stand By. This is just monster. There's some rhythms on here. The drummer and the thing he does with the arpeggiated synthesizer. This is killer. Stand By, Heldon. Killer album. This is killer. And then Merple. This is a reissue. Italian three-piece. Keyboard-oriented. In that classical ELP sort of thing, but they had their own sound. Io Sono Merple. And originals of this go for a lot of money. This is a reissue. I'll show this right quick. On the green vinyl. I'll show the cover as well because it's a beautiful fold-out gatefold. I love those old psychedelic gatefolds. Really imaginative and far out. Magical. You know, to fit the music well. Merple. Io Sono Merple. This is another good one. It's a good one. They don't sound like Emerson, Lake Palmer or like Genesis, but you'll think of that. And they don't sound like Banco either, although Banco was an Italian keyboard band. Here's something that someone gave me. I really like it. Global Goon. Vatican Nights. Techno. Picture disc. And this plays pretty well. Actually, you know, picture discs are pretty noisy. But this one plays pretty smoothly. And it's... only got through a couple tracks of this, but Global Goon. Here's another one I pulled I thought I was going to maybe sell. And it's like, nah, this is really good. Gang Gang Dance. Eye Contact. Great cover. Great images. The bug there on the, I think it's a flower it's on, covered with moisture. It's quite a photograph. And this is good stuff. Dancey, but it's got a neat, they got a neat sound. Another one of the images on the inside. 4AD is a cool label. And this one is a 3-sided record. One side is etched. May as well show that while I'm doing all this. Another on one of the inside images. I once endeavored to be on this label, 4AD. I still have the letters. They turned me down. But I still... you know, where they've gone now, you know, the original label, which was run by Ibo, and when it was bought, changed immensely. But I still try to check out what they're doing. Some of the stuff they're doing is good, and some of it, it's obviously, it's for a youth audience, you know, not for me. Had occasion to play some Porcupine Tree. In Absentia, another really strong Porcupine Tree album. Gravity Eyelids. Blackest Eyes. Damn, this album is killer. Porcupine Tree. So that brings me up to date, it does. And if you're still with me, I just want to say that besides the regular stuff that I have, I have a whole discography of music available directly from me, and I use a blog site online to order from. And I'll show what I have, but first I want to show I have one copy each. As some of you know, the VC helped me to put out my first long-playing vinyl album called Dereck 3 in 2012. I was originally going to have 250 of these made, 125 red and 125 black. Pirates Press, for some reason, shorted me, and I only ended up getting 135 black and 80 red. So, obviously I have one red and one black for myself, and I kept one extra black. This is my extra copy, which I am offering for sale for $50. And it's already sold for $50 from someone who bought it. I saw it online, on Record Collectors. This is my personal copy. I've got another copy, but I need to raise revenue, you know what I'm saying? And this is what I would like to do ideally, is do it like this, is sell my music. So right now, I have one copy of Dereck 3 on black vinyl. This is my third solo album. It's a long story, but it's the first one that I had put together for vinyl. 180 gram, pressed by Pirates Press. Real happy with this album. Real happy. So I have one copy that I'm willing to sell for $50. And this one, in the comments, in the box below the video, I will leave not only the links where you can order these other records, but I'll leave my email, which is the way to contact me if you're interested. $50 plus postage for this. The other one of a kind I have is my second solo album. Don't mean to confuse, but my second solo album, which I put out on CD originally in 2004, and this is what that looks like. This is the original artwork for it. Dereck 2. I have these for sale still. This is still sealed. I've still got maybe about 100 of these left. Put this out in 2004 when I decided to get serious again about doing music. I've been doing music since the 70s. Half seriously, half hobby. But when Dereck 3 went so well, as far as sales and reception, I decided the way that I really would like to do this is to complete the circle, which is to go back and put out what I'd done already on vinyl. And so that I put out Dereck number 2, Dereck 2 on vinyl. Same deal, limited edition, 250 copies, 125 black, 125 orange. This cover is a painting by my older sister Stephanie. Some of you folks know my sister Stephanie. There's a picture of us when we were teenagers. That's my sister with her son Kareem. And that's me out looking all bummed out and strange. This is my extra orange vinyl copy. This is my personal copy. Now this, for a short time, I'm going to say, is available for $100. And I'm putting $100 on it is because I have an orange, but I have two oranges. And this is really special to me. Orange is my favorite color too. it's necessary. The money is necessary for survival. I don't want to sell this at all. So this is worth more than $100 to me. But I have one. Someone might be interested. Someone out there might be willing to pay me $100 for this. So you contact me through my email, which I'll leave below. Besides that, through my DVH Recordings blog spot, which I'll leave the link to, you can order. This is what I have in stock. It's neat to do this. And thank you. Folks have been telling me too. They just bought it and they love it. Like it's not me saying lies. This music is great. Fly over. And this is still, I'm still selling this for $15. Murphy is $20, but this is, look at that. Limited edition splatter vinyl. It's a fantastic album, it really is. $15 plus postage. It just sold 3-4 copies over the weekend. Thank you, everyone. So I have this in stock. My latest album, Murphy, which I did the fundraiser for. 250 copies numbered. I'm getting down there. I maybe have 80 copies, maybe 70, 80 copies left. Murphy. And I'm real pleased with this one too. Love this album. Still playing it a lot. Still playing these songs a lot because I made the music. You know, it's selfish, you know, I'll admit it, you know. And I'm dealing with that, you know. A lot of musicians play music for others. They, you know, and to a degree I do, but I do admit that the music is for me, you know. If I gotta like it, you know. I don't want to play music I don't like. So I really liked this music. My very first solo album, which came out on CD in 2001, I finally reconfigured and put out on vinyl. Nice. You all have given me a better perspective on this album. A lot of people really like this. This is a black vinyl copy. Okay, so this one is in an edition of, there's 250 yellow vinyl and only 100 black. And I'm really pleased to say that for a while I thought this one wasn't selling too well, and I actually had to look into my boxes to see what I had. Because it's actually slowly sold pretty well. And this is only $15 plus postage. I recently reviewed Greg Jackson Combs' album, The Messenger. Remember this? I just showed you this, Greg Jackson Combs, The Messenger. Sharing with you that he's on the Cowdog label. Cowdog. There it is. There's Buffy. That's the dog, Cowdog. That's Michael Teach's dog that the label is named after. Anyway, it was through Michael Teach that I met him working with this guy from Denmark, Kleeman. And I play bass on this album, Different, which is also on the Cowdog label out of Chicago. This was recorded partially in America and partially in Denmark. Gunnar Kleeman is from Copenhagen. And this is really good. Again, all I can say is the folks that have bought the record and have actually bothered to play it have found themselves really, really liking this music. I'm on bass on about half of the songs in this, but I'm also selling it for Cowdog. You can buy it directly from them, but if you buy this from me, I get a cut. Okay? And there's a link to all these on my blog site. I'm almost done here. But I also have compact discs for sale, and there's a link on my blog site to get these. I have Dereck 2. These are all $10 a piece, plus postage. I have Dereck number 2 on CD. These are still sealed. I have Flyover Country on CDR. And then I have the original Flyover Country soundtrack still sealed. Original score by me. This is the thing. This was the project, the small-time independent film that came out a couple years ago out of Omaha, where they hired me to do the soundtrack that led to my album Flyover. And there's several local bands on here besides my music. But I have copies of this for sale, sealed. Back in the 80s, one of the bands that helped to get indie music recognized out of Nebraska was my band Digital Sex. And I have copies of this still sealed. This one is unfortunately damaged, but it's still sealed. Digital Sex. Essence and Rarities. I've got these. I've maybe got 2 copies of this. This is a compilation that I'm on, A Situation in Situ. One of the bands that I used to be in was a band called Flamethrower, free jazz band. And we have a track on here, as well as the shoegaze band For Against from Lincoln, Nebraska. My friends. 2 reasons you might want this. I think I've got a couple copies of this. Now, this one I may not have listed on my website, so if you're interested in this, you can leave me a message. The last thing I have is something I made back in the 90s with this Native American American Indian flute maker, Stephen Stacy, Tomorrow's Vision. The title track, well, not the title track, is it? Or is it Today's Warrior? Today's Warrior is kind of the feature song on the album, and it's one that I wrote for Steve and play on it, acoustic guitar, Tibetan singing bowl. So I have all this music, actually. I have actually quite a bit of product. And I need to be comfortable with being my own salesman, because this is how I can exist. Thank you, friends, so much. You know, if you've asked me a question and I've forgotten to answer it, I'm sorry. One that I remember now is that a fellow named Edward asked me about obtaining Squim. That was a gift to me. I don't know how to get a hold of Squim, the album Squim. It's really good. I'd say look it up on Discogs.